Hey, this is Scott, and today I have yet another bag review for you. Today we're taking a look at the Airport Navigator from ThinkTank. First up, I just want to say thank you to ThinkTank for sending this bag for this review. But just as always, they didn't tell me to say anything. This is going to be all my opinion. I asked them if I could review this bag after seeing it at CP+, and I thought it was a really cool bag, so I wanted to check it out. Thank you to them, but as always, this will be my own personal opinion. In this review today, first I'm going to just go over the bag, show you what's in it, what's on it, how it works. Then after that, I will talk about my personal opinion of the bag and just experiences using it. And finally, I will show you putting some stuff into a camera's lenses and just see what we can fit. I'll put the times for all of that down in the description, so if you want to skip ahead, check the description and you can click on the time that you want to jump to. So we'll start just by going around the outside of the bag. And on the front of the bag here is a very simple design here. There's no outside pockets or anything like that. Just this main compartment flap that you can open here, and we'll get into that later. On here, the zippers are just regular zippers. There's no special lock on here like there is on the Airport International. There is a little loop on these that you can put your own padlock through if you want to keep it safe, but there's nothing included with this bag in terms of locking this zipper. Both sides of this bag are identical, so we'll just take a look at this side. On both sides there is this stretchy pocket here, which is actually a pretty good size. You could easily fit like a bottle of water or something in here, and you can do that on both sides if you want. So you could fit a bottle of water or something else if you wanted to of similar size, but it can stretch quite a bit. It could fit something a little bit larger than this if you wanted to. And there is also a little metal ring on here to attach the shoulder strap. And this is a shoulder strap, of course, obviously, but we can use it for a different purpose as well, so we'll get into that later. Down the bottom, of course, you see these wheels, and these are very, very smooth wheels. They're user replaceable, just like on the Airport International. They're the same wheels, and there is this kind of protective shell around the wheels and around the bottom of the bag, so if you're scraping it or bumping it on the ground, it keeps it protected from things like that. On the back, you can see, again, it has these hard plastic protections for bumps and scratches and things like that as you're pulling this around over sidewalks and things like that. And then there is the space for the extending handle. This doesn't take up any space inside of the bag. Otherwise, it's the same handle as you would see on the other rolling bags from ThinkTank. Taking a look at the top of the bag, you have a rather generously thick and padded handle here to carry the bag. There is also another purpose for this, which I will show you yet again in just a second. There is a Velcro small pocket for business cards and things like that here if you want. And then there is also a zippered pocket on the top here if you want to put something a little bit larger. It's a little bit larger than you would need for like a passport or something, so you can fit a decent sized, albeit flat, accessories or filters, passports, other documents in here if you need to. So opening the top cover, there are a couple of pockets in here that are actually a mesh design this time, not the kind of clear plastic like you'll find in a lot of the ThinkTank bags. There are two of them, and they take up pretty much the entire space of this top flap here. So it's a decent size. You could fit a good amount of stuff in here, but these are pretty much the only two zippered pockets you're going to find on the inside of the bag. I mentioned there's another purpose for this top handle, and that's so that way when you open this top flap, you can extend the handle here through that top handle of the flap, and it will hold this open. So as you pull it around, you will have continuous access to this inside, and again, your cameras will load in from the top here. So if you want to do this, you can quickly bring this around your location and quickly access your gear, take your cameras out, put them back in without having to open or unzip the top flap every time. So as you look in the top of the bag, you can see obviously there are spots for two cameras with lenses attached to slide down into here, and we'll take a look a little bit more at that when we're actually loading gear into here later. But these flaps up top you can adjust, so you can stand them straight up or you can fold them down if you need to, depending on how your camera fits. And the same with these middle flaps here. They have Velcro on the back, so you can fold them up straight or you can fold them down to cover what you have in here and just make way for your cameras if you need to, or to separate your cameras with these flaps if you need to do that. This can fit full gripped or professional bodies like a 1DX in here, both of these sides. It will fit in this width, so that's really nice too. When you open this front flap, originally there is a little kind of safety tether here, so that way your front flap doesn't just fly open when you open it. But you can quickly and easily just remove this. There's a little sliding hook here, and then your front flap will open all of the way, so you can get full access to everything in here. If you don't need to use this strap, then you can actually pull this little blue tab here, and there's a space on the side that will open and allow you to tuck it in and get it out of the way. Again, there are straps on both sides and you can tuck them both away as I do have it now, so that's really nice and convenient as well. This bag actually comes with 2 more dividers than I have in here at the moment, and what's nice about these dividers is that they actually have Velcro on 3 sides, so of course you can Velcro it to each side of the wall like you would usually, but you can also Velcro it to the back of the bag, so when you're resting the weight of your camera on here, you can have a little bit more of a secure divider, so that way things aren't coming loose or falling out of the bag when you're using it like that. There are also these elastic straps here, which you can remove and put anywhere that you like. And they're just a little bit of extra security to hold your camera and lens in place if you have something, maybe like a 70-200 down here, it just stops it from flapping out, especially when you open this front flap all the way. You could use one on this side, one on this side, or both of them here, or just don't use them at all, but they are included and they can help to hold your stuff in place if you need it. So there are 3 big main dividers going across this bag, which you can obviously reposition as you need to. One of these 3 main dividers on the side here has a top folding part which is a little bit smaller than the others, so you can get it closer into this side and still flap it down so you could put your camera body on here. And again, we'll see how everything fits when we put our actual gear in here later in this video. The sides of the bag are also of course padded. There's the same thickness as these main dividers running along the outside and bottom of the bag, so that'll keep everything safe from impacts from the outside of the bag as well. Finally, on the inside of this main flap here, we have the pouch for your computer, which is closed with a Velcro flap. And when you open it up, there's actually 2 sections in here, so you could fit a computer and a tablet separately, for example. So there's a lot of space in here that you could use for stuff like that. This should fit a 15-inch computer. So when we pack it up, I'll put my computer in here later, which is a 15-inch MacBook Pro, and just see how it looks. Of course, you do get this rain cover as well, as you do with all the ThinkTank bags. So if you're going out in really heavy inclement weather, you can use this and keep your gear really safe. You can throw it in a pocket of the bag. There is a strap on here with a little bit of Velcro, so you could Velcro it somewhere inside your bag, or you could leave it at home if you don't need it, but it is provided. Quickly getting back to the shoulder pad here, it's very well padded, so if you need to carry it on your shoulder, it should be very comfortable, obviously heavy, but comfortable. But there's also this kind of 2-layer design to it where you have this little loop in between here, and the purpose for that, which may not be very clear at the beginning, is actually to slide this onto the extending handle of a taller bag, a ThinkTank bag, or probably any bag technically, and you can kind of piggyback this Navigator on top of the other bag. So you can pull them both through the airport, or anywhere obviously, with only using one hand, which is really convenient if you're traveling, or again, anywhere. It doesn't really matter if you're traveling, but this is very, very convenient to keep one hand free, just to very securely and safely and quickly and easily carry 2 bags for the price of 1, so to speak. So overall, my experience with this bag is very, very good. It's one of my favorite bags, to be honest with you. It's just a great balance of size and capacity. Very easy to use, both because of the rolling design and because of the front and top access, the ability to very easily and quickly access your cameras, but also store extra lenses and stuff around them. It's a really nice combination of a bunch of different things, a bunch of different ways of using it that's really, really applicable for a bunch of different situations. It's a small detail, but I really like that the side pockets on here are big enough to fit like a plastic bottle of water or something. Especially because this is so useful for events and weddings and things like that. You're definitely going to want to bring a drink with you, so it's nice to be able to fit it in here. When I first got this bag, it was actually just a few hours before heading out onto a shoot, and I had my Airport International all packed up and ready to go, as well as another bag or 2, but I wanted to see if I could fit all of my gear from my Airport International into this bag, just to, see how they compared in terms of capacity. And I was surprised to find that I could fit pretty much everything from my Airport International into this bag, despite the fact that this form is pretty much half the size of the Airport International in terms of how much space it takes up. It was really quite impressive. And this was a better design for that situation because I could have quick and easy access from this top panel to my cameras with lenses attached. I don't have to unzipper and unflap the entire bag each time. If I needed another lens, just open this quick zipper in front and grab it and switch over lenses. And to switch over lenses too, I could put the lens into that empty camera spot as I switched the lens. It was really just a convenient way to do that shoot. The one difference there is that the Airport International has more small pockets for organization of smaller accessories and things like that. This does have a couple in there, and I was able to make it work just with the space inside of the body of the bag. But this was a very, very surprising fit for me that I could fit all of my cameras and lenses in there. I was talking with Doug from ThinkTank at CP Plus about this bag, and he was mentioning something that's pretty interesting in the fact that, like I said, the capacity is pretty close and pretty similar to the larger bags like the Airport International, but the form factor is much smaller. It appears much smaller, and that's kind of psychologically different for if you're traveling on an airplane, because sometimes your weight is over the limit or the size is, just barely under the limit of what can be carried onto the airplane. If you have the larger bag, although technically it may fit into the regulations, there are situations where they may ask you to check it. And when they see a bag of this size, psychologically speaking, it's less, not intimidating, but it looks smaller, so they're less likely to ask you to check it, even in those situations. It's not like a regulation thing, so this is nothing official, but just, like I said, psychologically speaking, people see this as smaller, so it may be a little bit easier to get around with it because of that. One last thing comparing this to the Airport International is the Airport International has built-in TSA-approved locks, and there's also the kind of metal chain at the top of it with a padlock that comes included, so that way you could chain it to your chair or a bench or somewhere if you want to make sure that your bag is not stolen. So there are some extra security features that are featured in the Airport International that are not included here, and that's definitely a big plus if you are traveling. So the biggest question for me is, will this be replacing my Airport International? And the answer is, for me, no, absolutely not. There are situations where this is better, and there are situations where the Airport International is better. And I think this really shines, especially for use on events and weddings and things like that. It's called the Airport Navigator, and it's absolutely useful for the airport as well because you can fit a lot of it. It has that smaller form factor, which, like I said, psychologically might be easier to get through onto the airplane without checking it in certain situations. You can put another bag on top of here very easily because of the shorter form factor. It's just obviously great for that purpose as well, but I think it really shines for events and weddings because it's small enough that it doesn't get in the way. It's not intrusive on the situation, and you can easily and quickly access your gear from the top here, put it away, take it out, put it away, take it out. And I found that really useful. Again, you can fit things like drinks in the side pockets, which are very nice to have when you go out on an event or a wedding or something. So I think this is really great for that kind of purpose, but the Airport International can fit more if you push it. I did use it when I went to CP Plus, and I fit all of my gear in there, and I also kind of cleared out a couple of the dividers at the bottom and shoved all my clothes in there for the weekend. And it's just nice to have that little bit of extra space when you really need it. You can max it out a little bit more than you can with this. Plus, there's more organizational pockets for smaller things that you may need if you're going on a longer trip or somewhere further away from home. There's a lot of little things that you could bring with you that the extra pockets on the International could come in handy with. And there's also the larger form factor. So if you're bringing a tripod along with it in the side pocket, the tripod will match that form factor a little bit better. It won't stick out like it would with this. You can do that with this as well. It has this side pocket. You could throw a couple of feet in here, but it doesn't have the extra attachments at the top either to kind of strap in that tripod like the Airport International does. So it's better for use in that situation. Also, the Airport International comes with some extra security features. All of that's included with the Airport International, and it is not with this. You do have the little holes in the zippers where you can put your own padlock through here if you want to lock it shut, but those things are not included when they are on the Airport International. So if you are going to be traveling with this, if that's your main purpose, the Airport International will fit better in that way. So now let's just take a quick look at an example of what you could fit in here. I'm basically going to pack this up the same as I had it last week on that shoot because I thought that was a pretty good setup for me for something that was practical that I actually did use. I'm not just going to throw stuff in here that I'm not going to really bring on a shoot. But let's just take a look at that. First of all, on the top, I do have a business card in that little business card slot. And just a note, it's actually just a bit tight for business cards in Japan, which are a little bit larger than business cards in the US. But I have that in there. And in the front pocket, I don't have anything at the moment, but you could very easily put your passport or something in there. Opening the top of the bag, in these top pockets, I just have a couple of small things here. I have a little microfiber cloth, and I have over here some extra batteries and a pen. You could obviously put more than that in there, but that's what I had in here at the moment. And if you just take a look at the top view here, you can see that I have two cameras in here. You could turn this around differently. Again, it can fit a gripped body or like a 1DX or Pro body, something like that. So these I just have in here this way for now. There's no particular reason. There is still a little bit of breathing room over here, so you're a little bit more flexible than this to put them in here how you'd like. Before taking these out, I just want to show you quickly the front view of the bag. So let's go ahead and open that. Before I open it all the way, or just very carefully opening it, I want to show you in this front pocket now, I do have my computer, which is a 15-inch MacBook Pro. I have that in here, no problem. And I also have a iPad mini and a notebook. And that's because, again, there is 2 pockets in here. So you can fit all of that and still close the bag, and I was okay. Now, this is what the inside of my bag looks like. Again, you can see the 2 cameras loaded in here from the top with the lenses attached. What I have over here is the Tamron 24-70 f2.8 G2. And over here I have a flash in front. But then I also have the, excuse me, I turned on the flashbacks, and I have the Canon 70-200 f2.8 loaded in here. And those come from the top. So if I take those out, you can see that I have that in here. Sorry about that. This is coming out of the side pocket here. I just had a couple of lens caps in there. This is the 5D Mark IV with the 70-200 attached. On this side we have the 5D Mark IV with the Tamron 24-70 attached. And those both fit in there fine. And this Tamron is quite a wide lens here too. So if you have a smaller lens, you could make this a little bit smaller and fit more in this center section. But as you saw, I also had this flash in front of the 24-70, and that fits in there just fine. In this center area, on the top, I have the Canon 85mm f1.4 IS, and that's, again, quite a large lens, but it fit in here no problem. Under that, I have the Canon 35mm f1.4. This is the Mark I version, the older version. And on the bottom here, I have the Canon 100mm macro lens. All of these are very, very useful for weddings and events for me. And then over here, I have a couple of extra things. I have obviously just a little blower, dust blower. And this is something that I only use for a couple of shots, but it's nice to have with me, the Laowa 12mm f2.8, really great lens. And then under that, I have some little extras. I have tissues. I always like to have tissues with me, especially now it's allergy season. I have some little case with some extra SD cards. And I have a tripod plate if I need that. On the side, on the bottom here, I have another little skinny section with a light meter. Don't always use it when shooting photos, but sometimes it's nice to have for, you know, setup shots and stuff. And a color checker passport. This is always nice to have as well. That fits in there right in the bottom, so you can fit a couple of flat things like that. On the side section here, which again, if you have some smaller lenses attached to your camera, you could make this section a little bit wider, but right now it's like this, and I have a little portable SSD if I need to back up my data while I'm on the shoot. And what else do I have in here? The little lens caps came out, and that's all I have in there for now. That's what was packed in here. I think it's quite a lot. This is more than enough for a day of shooting. If it's not, then you could bring an extra bag. Again, like this is easy to use with just put a shoulder bag on top of here, and you can carry a couple of extra things. But the capacity of this bag compared to its size, I think, is really quite fantastic. So this is my setup. So if you have any further questions or comments, leave them down below and I will definitely get back to you. If you want to check this bag out or any of the other ThinkTank bags, I will have links in the description, so be sure to check that as well. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more in the future, and as always, thank you for watching.